All right, we have Tony with us today. Tony is part of the mentorship program. We're going to ask Tony how the last 6 months has gone up for him, and we'll get started now. So, hey Tony, how you doing, bro?
Good, Mo. How you doing, man?
Not bad. So, do you want to quickly introduce yourself on what you do and how your trading's been going?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I'm Tony Palmadesi. I'm in the Dallas suburbs is where I actually live. So in the great nation of Texas, and I do pharmaceutical sales, mainly oncology sales in my 8 to 5. So that's kind of it. I found trading kind of in 2020 during COVID when they shut everything down. So I mean, much like a lot of people, I feel like it was you threw a dart at a board and you'd find profits during that time. So I took and doubled my account, thought I was going to be the next great trader, and was sorely mistaken for the rest of 2021, 22, 23. So really tried to find my way and did a little bit of day trading when I had time, looked into swing trading, looked into options, kind of did the whole gamut. So, and wasn't doing real well. Didn't have a profitable year except for 2020.
Yeah, so it's crazy you say that because you could put any calls in any stock, and if you bought time, you made money. And even if you were wrong, you just averaged down and you'd make money. It was that insane.
Yep.
I know a lot of people that quit trading. I know a lot of people that quit their jobs in 2020 because they thought they made it, and now it gets easier from here. And then 2021 came and dips weren't getting bought, and the market was just ranging, and no one was used to it. That's crazy.
Yep.
Did you have a strategy, or were you just buying calls?
I was all over the place, honestly. I mean, I dabbled in like small caps. I found that's where I found Twitter and kind of started doing the whole FinTwit thing, found people to follow. I mean, just kind of did the whole gamut of options, small caps, large caps,
If you, now that you look back, and we'll get that, like how you're doing now, but when you look back now, what do you think your specific challenges were? Like, what do you think that went wrong, leading for you to lose money?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it I think was just too much. I mean, I'd freak out, like you said, and you'd learn to average down whenever it was 2020. So I mean, I'd freak out, I'd start averaging down, and then you take big losses. Once that happened. So just the problem was I didn't really have a plan. I mean, I was all over the place, just trying to do anything and everything, and kind of whatever people were doing on Twitter, I was going there, and was trying to live the dream like them, and realized pretty quick that when things went south, Twitter got real quiet. So it was people were always banging their chest whenever things were going well, and then once the market dipped, it was like, okay, there's crickets everywhere. So yeah, just really had ADHD of trading, I think.
So like, when did you make the decision that you need help, and where did you start looking?
Yeah, so I reached out to a couple people that seemed to know what they were doing on Twitter, and so I got decent at day trading actually, and just using pretty much the 8, 13 EMA, VWAP, and the 10-minute chart. And kind of that's how I found Discord actually, was a couple of them had jumped on Discord. So I had a little small group that helped out, and everybody kind of had their strengths. And so, some people were good with fundamentals, some people were good with TA. So I learned a lot of that, which is helpful now, but it just, nothing really sent me over the edge. And I really got to the point where I was like, okay, either I need to make this happen or I don't. I mean, I'm sitting here wasting time. I'm not making any money. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. I could go do something different. And then that's kind of what led me to find you actually, is I was at the gym working out, and you had your banner in the lobby. And I was like, it's interesting that I'm sitting here. So I jumped on, I think, Twitter or Instagram, and kind of looked at a little bit of your stuff. And I was like, oh, like this looks decent. And so yeah, that's where I reached out to you, and we went and had coffee face to face. And that was something that meant a lot to me, that, you're willing to take the time to do that and really like have a constructive conversation. I mean, hey, what are you trading? What are you looking at? How are things going? And you really knew what you were talking about, where it was like, hey, like we can get you, seeing what you're doing, we can get you doing this, get you focused on certain swings, and just once you started talking to me, I was like, all right, like this dude's the real deal. I think I can learn from him and benefit from it. So that pretty much was how I stumbled upon you and got into more of this.
You know what's crazy? You were the first person ever, like, where I met someone in person, because I'm from Vancouver and majority of the clients are from States. So it was a cool experience because, everyone is hiding behind an online profile. So you can't really tell if it's a real person with AI, if they have real profits, if they actually know what they're talking about, now you could just chat GPT anything. Like you could ask me a question and I could potentially find the answer. So Yeah, that's crazy. I think one of the reasons why it was cool meeting you, because even when you did the 5 day challenge, you're one of those people, you knew specifically what you were doing wrong and you weren't blaming anyone or anything for it. Like you weren't, most people, when they lose money, like even now, people are blaming Trump for the market going down, or they're blaming just big traders for manipulating the market. The moment you kind of blame other people, you take the power away from controlling anything, and then you don't control anything. That means you don't control the outcome. That means you're still a victim. So I think very, very few people have that mentality. Most people end up blaming. So let me ask you this. Did anything prevent you from signing up? Because trust me with one thing, when you go, let's say you saw me at the gym, it seems super scammy. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's a banner there or you see an ad. Like, was there anything preventing you from signing up?
No, I mean, I think once we met, I was like, all right, like let's give it a shot, and I just kind of looked at it. I took the annual fee and divided by, 12 and was like, hey, it's basically what you would spend on Starbucks in a month or whatever. So, it's something that's beneficial. So, and we had talked, I'm like, hey, I'm going to give this a year, see what goes on. I mean, ultimately, we had conversations. I'm like, I want to see something by the end of this year, even of 2024, and really, like you said, I mean, at the end of the day, I was like, I sat and watched a lot of your trades in the 5 day trial, as well as just even getting started out. I'm like, hey, like he's profitable. I'm screwing up on either my entries, my exits, I'm holding too long. I'm in too many positions, which I still, being honest, I mean, I'm still doing that, which I need to cut that down. One of the things I was going to say that's nice about the mentorship is just having the other, quote unquote, classmates, I guess is what I'd say, being able to reach out to them as well. Everyone's, it's a small group. So only having 30 of us or so, it's nice to be able to reach out to other people and hey, this is what's working for you. Like V, I'll throw her out there. I've been chatting with her on the side and was like, hey, like you're being profitable. This is working for you. I can connect with you because, you're busy, you're running, like she's running her own business. How are you doing these things? And my job ebbs and flows. There's days where it's super busy in sales, and there's days where like summers it'll tone down. Christmas is tones down, but I can't sit and babysit a portfolio all the time. And so that, talking to her, it was helpful to do that. But yeah, ultimately, I mean, just I was sold when we met in person, and just you being honest and really sitting down, understanding how I traded, what mistakes I had made, and we're just honest with me. I mean, and had the constructive criticism of, hey, and the positive criticism of, man, like you're right there. Like if we can just get you doing X, Y, Z, we're going to push you over that edge and get you going, which we saw towards the end of the year.
I think one of the biggest things that you had it from the start though was you saw money as a tool. You didn't see, like, I don't think you had, like, of course you've had losses, so you get emotional, but you were never sort of fearful to get in a trade, and you were never greedy either. I think there was a lack of structure, and once you implemented it, that's where you are now. I think once we figure out how to reduce the number of trades, which is very easy, and I'll tell you what it is. If you can increase your position size, it will decrease your positions, but you can't increase your position size until you're very confident. So what's going to end up happening is you might get a week where you don't put a trade in. You might have 2 weeks where you don't put in a trade once you kind of get there. One of the things that we talked about with V, since we're talking about her, I told her, like, treat the A+ setup guide that I gave her as a pair of glasses. And the only time you see anything is when A+ setup shows up. If it doesn't, then you chill. So last month she did about 3 or 4 trades, I think. And then she not doubled, but she's up about 60% on her report. And I think she's up about 6 or 7 on a 10K account versus taking 30, 40 trades a month and losing money or breaking even. So that's been insane. What's been your biggest takeaway though?
Yeah, my biggest takeaway, I mean, I think, like you said, I mean, disconnecting from the money was something that, I've been able to do since I've lost money. I'm also blessed in many, many ways where this is just kind of fun money for me. So it's something that I can disconnect from. It's not like I'm trying to pay my bills with this or anything. But I mean, the biggest, I think, like you said, I mean, I was doing well with limiting my position sizes. I was doing well with limiting my risk, which that was, I think one of the biggest things I had was just the hopium, right? Like, oh, I hope this goes up. And it was stupid for so long. And then finally I was like, all right, kind of what you had said. It's like, is it better to sit and hold these things down and hope they come back up, or cut the losses, even if it's taking a 50% risk, and then deploying the capital into trades that are going to go quickly, And so, yeah, you take a 50% loss on one hand, but then if you're taking 102, like that Affirm trade we had, and gosh, I think it was November because that was my best month. But I mean, that thing went like 2,000% or something. So it's like, you cut your losses on that 50%, boom. Okay, we're back on it. And, and then I'm scaling out, which that's one thing that I've always done well, is just scaling. I don't really take everything all at once. I'll leave some runners to maybe hit those home runs. But like you said, I mean, a lot of times I'll take off that, like if I have 4 positions, I'll take 2 of them off at 100%. Make it a free trade and then let everything run. I mean, that's where you hit the big grand slams. Or, sometimes I'll put stops on at 50% or whatever, so you're still making something. So yeah, I think that's been the biggest change, is having a set structure. Like you said, getting the structure of everything made a big difference for me, and being able to take the losses and not hope that they go back up.
So one of the things I talk about is, you got to treat trading like a business, because if you trade it like a job, you're going to lose money, because in job, you give your time and you get your money. And that in trading looks like over trading. So you had a successful 2020, and then you kind of went over how you lost money in 21, 22, 23. You started, I believe, July 31st. So you had about a few months last year. How has it been going so far for you, 2024 and 2025?
Yeah, so 2024, I mean, getting our bearings and getting the one-on-ones with you, which is something else that I don't think we really mentioned, but being able to schedule one-on-ones with you. And I mean, even Karan, he's done some great work as well with his TA. That's been really helpful. And that was something I told him that I don't even think I've told you. The last seminar he did that I popped on, it was like, every time I'm on something, I'm still having an aha moment, like a light bulb goes on, which I think is just so important. Even though I've had a large breadth, I'd say, in experiences, but there's still things I'm still learning, even, 4 years later, is huge. But yeah, so you and I did a lot of one-on-one work. I was still struggling a lot, and kind of call it August, September, and then October, I just, I think I had posted that I was just getting frustrated. And then I think Target Man had posted something in the group chat where it was like, here's where he was down in October. And then all of a sudden he just had, a couple of huge days and really turned it around from like being down, I think it was, 10,000 or something, to being up like 20,000. And it was like, holy cow, all it takes is one trade or a couple of good trades to reverse things. And then that happened to me in November. So November hit, and it was like, everything was coming together. I mean, I had a huge, I remember what it was across all my platforms, which that was the other thing, is I had too many things platforms I was trading on. So I'm consolidating now is another thing I'm doing. But yeah, November was phenomenal. It was definitely the best month I've ever had in my career. I think I was up like 18 or 20 grand across all 3 of my portfolios. And then December was going really well. And then I made my own mistakes. And that's the thing, I got greedy. I had that Tesla, I don't think I've told you this, but I had that Tesla 400 call or something. And it went up 600%. I was up like 8 grand. And I held that damn thing all the way down until it stopped out at break even. And I was sitting there, I'm like, you know what? At the end, I was like, this is just dumb. Like, why didn't I take any? Even 100% would have been solid. But yeah, so that I still had a good finish in December. So I think I ended somewhere around 20 grand on the year. And then January, I had a drawdown, and then a phenomenal end of January. So I ended up 4 or 5 grand. Right now, it's been a struggle. I'm in way too much crypto, and it hasn't done what everybody had hoped it would do, which that's something I need to get used to, is when everybody thinks something's going to happen, it normally doesn't happen. So yeah, I need to get better at that.
No, I think you're absolutely correct about just like not taking profits. It's a problem. I had to, and I think everyone has that one trade that changes the way they trade. So you had your Tesla, I had an Amazon trade that went from 800 to 25,000, and I ended up selling it for 2,500. And from that day onwards, it changed something in me. So I'll leave runners. Like I left Palantir runner and ended up selling it this morning, because you never know how far it can go or how low it can go. We got to have a plan though. So one of the things that I think I truly believe in is, before you become a millionaire, you need to have a millionaire mindset. So you went from losing money to now making 20K or 10K or 4K. What shift did you have in your mindset now that you look back?
Yeah, one of the big things, I feel like I was trying to force it, which, I think patience in general is one of the things I lack that I try and work on. But it was like I was trying to force all these things as opposed to just letting it kind of happen. And I think once I kind of just relaxed and was like, hey, like let this play out the way that it needs to play out, it's helped out with stress. It's helped out with just not being worried, I guess, what happens day to day. So I'm able to trade more relaxed, which allows you to think clearer. It allows you to not make emotional decisions that I think has been helpful. So yeah, I mean, like February, I'm down right now, but it's like, all right, like, we'll clean it up, we'll fix it up and come out on it. And so I mean, ultimately, and I think even we had the conversations, it's like, I don't need, it'd be cool to do this full time. I mean, eventually maybe that happens, but for right now, it's like, hey, like what if it's vacation money, or what if it's just, money to sock away from my daughter's savings and school, or whatever it may be. But it's like, I don't need it to live off of. So use it as a building block, and use it as to just educate myself and see where it goes from there. And so I think just being more relaxed has been really helpful.
Yeah, I think some of the biggest member profits are like 6 figures and 7 figures, and they don't do this full time. Yeah. This is my only gig, and I don't do this full time. Like when I say that, I mean, I'm not max. I do is 4 hours, because it will drive you crazy. The point of this is to use it as a tool and get away from it. A lot of people come from the mentality that if I put more hours, I'll make more. The opposite happens. Most of the time, the opposite happens. Okay, so now that you've gone through this entire experience of making money and losing money, one thing I'm pretty sure you realize, and a lot of people who watch this video will realize, that when you grow, and specifically in trading, the growth isn't linear. It isn't you come in and you make 100K, 10K. It's never like that. Even the top performing people, they'll have their up months, down months, and they'll learn more on their down month. And usually what will happen is, the longer they can sustain that down month, when the come up happens, they make a lot more. And you use Target Man as an example. I remember him saying, I'm going to take a break because I can't figure this out, to coming back to make 2-3K for 2-3 months, and then hitting 100K month. Yeah. And I think what happens with people is they stop running after the money and they start running after a structure. Once you figure out the structure, now, you're like, oh, I have a tough time in February, I'm having a down month, but you're confident, dude. I can tell you another person that might be having a green month, but they're like, shit, I hope I close green because I've been losing all this time. You can't buy confidence with money. In terms of, you can have profits, but if you're not confident, eventually you're going to lose money. It's usually because they don't have a plan and they're following tickers from someone called out this ticker, someone called out earning play, just following that kind of stuff just builds anxiety and stress. Eventually, most people will blow up because they have no clue what they're doing. So what you've gained here is confidence. And that's why I tell people that start 3 months, don't worry about how much you're going to make, worry about following the plan to the T, and then you're going to start seeing growth. So now that you've gone through this entire program, how would you rate this program from 1 to 10? And you could be completely honest. Like, I personally think there's room for improvement. I just launched a personal concierge program, and then I'm adding a whole bunch of different things to provide more support and trade less myself. So your honest opinion, where would you tell us where you're from 1 to 10?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's the high end of like 9 or 10. I mean, the things that really stand out is you're always accessible, which is great. You've got Karin that helps out, all the mentees are all, willing to help out, and I've always laughed whenever you're like, hey, is anybody in here? Like, it's quiet. I feel like it's gotten a lot more, people are now communicating, which is great. Whenever you can hear what other people are thinking, what they're looking at, that's been helpful. All the seminars are huge. The setup of the Discord's pretty easy to follow. Just ultimately, I think it's a good service, especially for the other ones I've been in. I mean, some of the other ones I've been in, it's like you can't get a hold of anybody. Whoever's running it, there's 10,000 people in there that are all charging, whatever, $50 a month or whatnot, and it's just pure chaos. So it definitely being smaller and it's a great little community, great little Discord.
Yeah, I think one thing I figured out a long time ago, I used to be an admin of a group that had 10,000 members, was you can be a great leader, but if a bunch of followers or a bunch of people that you have in the Discord, if they're all gamblers or they have no clue, all the new people that come in, they're going to think this is the norm, this is the culture. And you could keep telling people what to do, but you're going to see Tesla going up, Tesla going down, this lotto, that lotto, and new people will just come in and start following that. You got to protect new people with a good culture. It's sort of like you work a job. When a new person comes in, you'll always pair them with your top performer because you want them to learn the right habits. So if you have a group of top performer, it really helps elevate new people that come in. And that's sort of what I've tried establishing. That's why I do these one-on-ones before I take people in, because I've had people like I got a call about 2 weeks ago, and the person was like, "Hey Mo, in a month of joining mentorship, will I be able to make enough to pay off my credit card bill? Because I'm going to pay your mentorship." So I said, "You shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be trading with the money you need," which is what you mentioned. And I don't think this is for everyone. If you're struggling with making money, trading is not the way to go. First, figure out how you're going to make money so you can pay your bills and take care of yourself. Then you get in on trading. It's insane how people get in, like they're using your utility bill or their vacation money doing this, ends up breaking their confidence and then their trust with basically money, and they have poor relationship with money.
Yeah.
Last question is, if someone was considering working with me, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, I would tell them definitely, I'd recommend working with Mo. Kind of what you just touched on is it'd be more like where is their mindset at? Like, are they willing to learn? Are they willing to listen? What like, where are they financially? What are they looking to gain from it is probably more so what I'd be interested in seeing, because it's not for everybody, like you're saying. It's some, I'm huge. I mean, we run into each other at the gym. I'm huge into fitness, and I always laugh because it's the same difference. I've got buddies all the time. They're like, "Man, like, what are you doing? Like, what?" Like, I'm always like, "Hey, like, first and foremost, like, hormonally, are you optimized? Like, have you gotten your testosterone checked? Have you gotten like these things?" Because it's like, "Hey, I'm gaining weight." Well, yeah, but what is the cause? Are you eating healthy? Like, are you eating, going to 7-Eleven and eating, taquitos out of the thing? Are you eating McDonald's? What are all the building blocks? So it's I feel like trading's the same thing. It's like if you're
same thing.
Yeah.
I use that metaphor all the time.
Yeah.
Trading and trading, exactly the same thing.
Yeah. So it's that would be basically it. I mean, but if somebody's aligned, like, same difference, right? If somebody's aligned with trading the same mindset that you are, then 100%, I'd tell them to go ahead, sign up, quicker than you can. Like, don't even think about it. Just go for it.
Awesome, man. Thanks for your time. We're going to end it here. Wanted to keep it short and
Awesome.
sweet.
Yep.
Thanks for all.
Hey,
All right.
thanks, Mo.